Yes, we know someone's taking notes.
Hello, hello. Well, let's go ahead and kick it
This
off.
call may be
It's
recorded for coaching purposes.
12:03, and I'm so excited to see everyone after taking last month off. I've missed everyone. There's John and got everybody. Yay!
Indeed.
So good to see all the familiar faces. I love how intimate this is. So I'm super excited about our agenda today. I have the creator of my all-time favorite AR app is here today, Sutu from EyeJack, and I cannot wait to have y'all talk to him and meet him. There he is. Hi. Yes. And so as per usual, you guys know this is very conversational. Ask questions throughout. I've put some links in the chat already. I'm calling them my
This
show
call
notes.
may be recorded for coaching purposes.
So that everything that's going to distract the hell out of me today. I wish I were the only one hearing that. But I'm not the only one hearing that. Everyone's hearing
it. Lisa,
maybe I should kick out the demand science note taker. Anyway, the links are in the sidebar, and I can post them again if you need them, but they're there for all the things that we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn my video off so I hopefully it will save some bandwidth here. And then I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll dive right in. Let's dive into it. I've got lots of fun stuff to talk about. Okay, and this is what I want to show. All right, everybody see my screen? Yes. I hope so. Good. Welcome to the XR Pub Crawl, everybody, for Marketing and Communications, our August edition. As I mentioned, this is a quick agenda. We're going to be taking a look at
this
Breonna's garden.
Purposes.
Yeah, I think, you know what?
Yeah, kick them out. Kick them out.
Yeah, let's see if that, so anyway, so there is the QR code. If you've not tried Breonna's garden, I highly recommend just going for it right now and trying it out. You can grab your phone and scan the code. There are also links there to download it, but it's an award-winning, amazingly impactful app, AR experience that commemorated Breonna Taylor, and it's so good. So anyway, we're going to talk about that a little bit today and why it was so successful. We're also going to then talk a little bit about EyeJack's 3D Cube experience that they are building. So we're going to get an insider's view of some brand new technology and brand new platform that they are developing for artists to help them create 3D activations. And then finally, the final part of our time today, our actual pub crawl part, we're going to go into Decentraland, and I'll talk more about that as we get closer to that portion. But you're welcome to join us if you want to start playing around with Decentraland now. You certainly can. I have had an interesting morning dealing with it that I will happy to share all the details. So another experience for you, as you know, we're so full of experiences during this, are these wonderful cubes. Billie and I met EyeJack when we were at AWE this year. And you can see an example of some of the cubes there below. And they are platforms that allow artists to create these amazingly interactive and beautiful 3D activations. And if you scan the QR code on our little handout there that we got from AWE, that's another quick way to just give it a try.
Can't wait to talk about this. I'm just so excited about what EyeJack does, you guys. But we'll get there.
Yes, we'll get there. Next pub crawl, just a reminder, September 22nd, the fourth Friday of every month at noon. Next month, we're talking to a company called MetaView, and they're building what they're calling a metaverse experience marketplace. They have done a lot of really cool activations within gaming platforms like Roblox and Fortnite. So they're going to be here on hand to share with us what they're up to. All right, so I don't know about y'all, but I have been fighting like major anxiety. I know I talk about this all the time, but like there's just so much with AI that there's a newsletter that, new newsletter every day. There's like 20 new tools every day. There's like hundreds and hundreds of crap coming at us. And I'm having a really difficult time kind of staying above water and trying to tease out what's really valuable and what's shit. And I spent like a good I don't know, a couple of hours this morning. Like, I feel like I spend a couple of good hours every day, actually trying to curate what's real and what's not. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm alone in this feeling. I don't know.
I don't think so, Lisa. I think
is everyone feeling this way?
it. Yeah. Sasha
It's
says
intense.
You're to the choir. Yes.
It's like drinking from a fire hose.
It is
really
all
is.
the time. It is like
All
drinking
the
from a fire
time.
hose all the time. And
Yeah.
I feel like my livelihood kind of depends on me not drowning.
Frankly, and being up on the latest. I mean,
it's so hard.
I've been using an AI tool tips, where I get a newsletter maybe 2-3 times a week. You have a recommendation here, the Prompt Warrior.
I love his newsletter. I think it's weekly blogs, but also you follow him on Twitter. Very tactical, very practical. It's not high level. It's very much try this for this purpose, the specific thing. Really cool.
Nice.
Yes, I love it. I would love help. So what I'm asking is, please do put any like AI tools, tips, news, resources that you find are tried and true and trusted, throw them in chat, and I can aggregate this and put it into my newsletter that I put out to share with everyone, because I feel like we need to lean on each other here as much as we can. So thank you for sharing any and all. Okay. I feel like AI is just like the elephant in the room always. But we'll move forward. Okay, in the news, let's jump into it. So kicking it off, I don't know, the New York Times is probably going to sue ChatGPT. That may not come as a shock to anyone. The article, kind of outlines here this, problem of how ChatGPT is trained up on all of its articles, and how someone can theoretically then kind of bypass their paywall, which is, a concern when that is how you're monetizing your content. So it'll be very interesting to see how this all turns out. And I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or perspective on this.
Tell you from an info perspective, I know this is our biggest fear, right? Is that we're going to get sued if we use ChatGPT or, generative AI or, any of those things. I was talking to, what is the company that does all the visuals? Adobe. And, they were saying, they're willing to indemnify anyone that's using their AI platform exactly for this reason, because so many are afraid of getting sued. And so it's a big issue for companies that, want to be brand safe. It's a big issue.
Adobe's also, I think, and I could be backdated on this, but I think Adobe with Firefly and everything is targeting their own libraries.
It's exactly.
So they're saying, hey, use our tool.
They're training on their own imagery.
Whereas so many other AI engines are just probing, scanning the whole world. And that's where these liabilities come. So I really applaud Adobe for, it may seem limited because their library is not infinite, but at least they're saying, hey, we're mining from our own stuff. And so if you use our stuff, you're safe. Other companies better follow suit, because this is going to continue to be a problem.
I agree wholeheartedly, Victor. And what I liked about Adobe's offering too was that you could actually train it, yourself with your own imagery, and with, you add your own fonts and whatnot, which I also really liked.
That's what I do as an artist. Like I'll use it constantly with my own backlog of work from the last 15 years or whatever.
Yes.
Have trained like a couple of projects that I've done to keep generating in kind of like my style.
That will keep you safe, right?
Yeah.
So you don't get sued.
It's safe, but it's also
it.
It's more like a partnership, like a collaborator, an informed collaborator in that sense.
Yeah.
Well, and New York Times has always been on the wrong side of technology advances. I mean, they fought online news for a long time, and when Trump was elected is when they started to gain altitude in their web-based subscriptions. I mean, it was just that short a time ago. So they've always kind of fought, the gray lady has always sort of fought the next thing coming up in technology. So I'm not surprised about this at all.
I love that perspective, Katie. That's great. I mean, it's just yet again another, I don't know, I don't want to say dying gasp of print media, but kind of.
Yeah, I think it may set some precedences, though, as far as, how things get handled in the future, right? I mean, I think this kind of has to happen to make people, more comfortable, companies more comfortable.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Speaking of companies that are just Microsoft is crushing it when it comes to AI. And this is a really great article interview with Satya. I haven't he's just won me over. I don't know about anybody else, but he just seems like such a real person. But anyway, the article is comprehensive, and the long and short of it is he's really set Microsoft up for this resurgence of becoming really, really relevant. Their relationship with OpenAI has positioned their Azure cloud now as a really kind of amazing resource for people that are building AI applications and services. And so he's just been, I would say, a visionary. And, if you've been a fan or have been on the XR pub crawl in the past, how bullish I am on Microsoft kind of owning the metaverse, especially the B2B metaverse. I mean, they're going to do it. And so it's just sort of, Microsoft is definitely one to watch, especially as we think about Copilot and how eventually all of this amazing AI technology is going to be brought into all of the things that we're currently using. Claire, you're so polite to have a hand up. Interrupt me. Hello, my dear.
Hey, I agree with you on Microsoft. So many interesting things with GitHub and, all those guys. But
they own Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Right. They own Teams. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I wanted to ask, though, was about AltSpace, because they had, that was such a robust platform for people who used the metaverse. So I just wonder, how you think they're going to handle kind of metaverse, because they do have so many, are they just going to blow up Minecraft? Curious on your thoughts.
That's such a great question. I mean, I would love to think, I've had some inside dealings with some of the teams that were responsible for AltSpace before they all got kind of fired or whatever happened to them. But the vision, at least at one point, was that they were going to take AltSpace and pull it in to be a 3D Teams. I think that still might be the vision. I know that there are large companies that are leveraging that integration of Teams and AltSpace in really compelling ways. I don't think it's ready. Maybe it's not quite ready for them to launch it, but that was the vision as of probably 6 months ago, Claire. I don't know if it still is, if they've pivoted away from that. I love the idea of having a work-friendly 3D environment. I loved AltSpace. It was one of my very favorite platforms before Microsoft, shut it down.
Yeah, I was so disappointed they shut it down too. But I can see they're continuing with Mesh. And just this week at Intel, they rolled out avatars, and allows us to use them in Teams, which is, interesting. It's taking so long to kind of really bubble through our IT, system, but we're just now kind of getting access to it. I am seeing Microsoft shift to Minecraft. Their education segment in particular is pushing for Minecraft executions, and is rolling out a few there. I think it's just they were spread too thin and they wanted to focus more, and that on top of Minecraft might have been, stretching their resources too thin. I really don't know. I was so disappointed to see them drop it as well, because it really was a great experience. I wish I knew more there.
Sutu.
Yeah. I noticed yesterday Blender and Roblox announced a Blender plugin that allows you to edit and build your Roblox worlds directly in Blender. And I think that's going to be a game changer for the Roblox community. Yeah, that's a big one.
Some interoperability? Are you serious?
But also just Blender keeps making the right decisions lately. I'm such a big fan of the open source nature of the Blender community, and they've also made this similar sort of decisions with the integration with Unreal Engine as well. And because it's open source, they don't have these limitations when you have proprietary software, where you have to sign all these legal agreements about the use of the technologies to be able to build big partnerships with other platforms. So it means that they get to speed along a lot faster. So that's definitely one to watch. I think we're just going to see another huge Roblox explosion in the next 6 months.
Boy. Yeah, yippee. Woo. Okay. I like Roblox. I don't mean to be down. It's anyway, I have multiple stories. I've been spending so much time in these platforms. I have so many positive and sort of not positive experiences. It's just a lot to take in. This is hot off the press, you guys. I got State of the Marketing AI report. I've got an ungated version for you. It literally just came out today. If you want the ungated version, I have it in Dropbox. You can go grab the PDF there without having to give away any info. But I don't know if there are any shockers here. They have, this is their some of the call outs from the executive summary. Obviously AI is a priority. Marketers are primarily looking to use AI to save time and to be more productive. I thought this last one, number 13 here, was interesting, that CMOs, according to their survey, are kind of lack an understanding and knowledge, and that they're kind of falling behind when it comes to confidence and usage. I thought that was really interesting. So
I have a question. I have a question and comment about marketers trying to save time with AI.
Yeah, go for it.
Like, we all want to save time, be more productive, but like at the core of marketing, and I'm sorry if this sounds old school, but it was to connect to your audience and bring authenticity and bring like real connection. And so a lot of the AI stuff, I mean, it's just sort of like synthesizing other people's ideas and just, filling in the space where you put content and stuff. But how well does it really know the audience? So it's doing the task for us, but it's not really, I haven't seen it really advance our connection with the audience. So you're putting out a lot more content, a lot faster. Maybe it's even a better writer than I am, I'll admit it. But the truth is that's not connecting with your audience. So it depends what kind of marketing, depends what kind of audience, but I think it's a little bit of it's getting a lot of hype. And I don't know if marketers should be the ones who are leading the AI generation, because AI is like, I'm just thinking it's losing a little bit of its hype a little bit.
I think yay. And I'm a marketer and I agree a lot, big time.
Hi, Sasha.
Yeah. A reformed marketer, but I still have my, my badge.
I agree, but if I may, I have a slightly nuanced counter to that. I feel like that the prompt can be utilized in such a way to find out more about your audience. It can be used in such a way to target more finer segmentation of your broad audience. I hear your point about like it just synthesizing, all the broad information out there, and that's totally true. And it becomes sort of depersonalized, and that also sort of, diminishes the connection to your audience. Totally agree there. But it can also be used as like a very sharp scalpel, depending on how the prompt is written and sort of engineered. So there's a little bit of both going on there.
And that's the potential of AI, and that's what we just haven't seen yet. That's what we're all hoping for. So this report in 2024, instead of saying marketers are primarily looking to use AI to save time, I prefer if it said marketers are harnessing AI to engage with audiences.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Bring the focus. I think you're both right. And I think that as again, reforms marketer, what we're talking about isn't exactly like siloing this, right? Like the whole point, in my opinion, and I'm very Web3 focused. So, like thinking about the collaboration in the community and breaking down the silos, but it's not for one group or constituency to own this. This is absolutely to be able to take shape and have a conversation with your audience, with allowing the IP of your brand to take form and shape, as you were talking about, like self-select the imagery and such. So it shouldn't just be one space. I understand it's the State of Marketing report, so that's the lens with which they're viewing, but I really like the content that you're bringing up. And I do think that the onus is on a marketer to not stay. I mean, my whole tagline with marketing is like, consumers are bored, but they're not stupid, and so here we are. We don't want to feed them the same stuff, just in a different with an AI backing. I think we really need to be smart about the data, the terminology, and kind of the back end build to yield something that's applicable across various areas. So
This
here.
brings me back to that famous scene from that movie, Real Genius, where the professor stops showing up and he starts putting his tape, he sees more and more students put their tape recorders because they don't want to come to his lectures. And then the final scene, it's his tape recorder talking to a room full of tape recorders.
Brilliant. I love that movie. Great example.
That's a great metaphor. To extend on what Sasha's saying a little bit, I would also say not all marketing is that like connecting with an audience. Some marketing is like SEO and like product pages and like really basic kind of grunt work that's more about getting the keywords out there and getting the idea across, not so much that deep personal connection. So my friend actually does this. He works for a big multi-billion-dollar marketplace where he's introduced ChatGPT as a tool for automating product pages and product descriptions. Because right now there's a ton of wasted human resource on that could be refocused into the more personal marketing and other things that require human skill sets, versus that grunt marketing work can be done more so with like an AI tool to save on that time.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly, Ricky. I love that. And they did mention when they were going over these that they agree basically with what everyone has said. The person, the founder of the AI Marketing Institute, was like, he thought that it was a miss that, marketers weren't looking outside of, looking at other ways to use AI other than saving time. And to our point, like, there are so many cool uses of AI, whether it's from, ideating to, being creative to fill in the blank. So yes, and yes. Anyway, if you want more tasty insights, the report is there for you. I'm mindful of time. I need to rush through here so that we can get to our to Sutu today. Just wanted to say that this is Ralph Lauren's kind of doing this thing where they've made these real life boots. You can wear them in Fortnite, and then you can go buy a pair and wear them. This is coming. I think that the cool takeaway from this article and this activation is, more and more companies are going to be able to explore these new forms of self-expression, where you can take something that is, you wear in world and bring it into the real world and put it into your own closet. I think that this also kind of is a foreshadowing of what Olivier Magnon has told us before in the pub crawl, of how we're all going to have digital closets, and they're going to trump the real world of clothes that we're wearing. Anyway, this is one of the experiences I had. I went into Fortnite and did this game alone because no one was with me. Billie Goldman. Sorry. He refuses to play Fortnite with me. And the cool thing about the game is it is set up where you are like, there's 6 of you that are supposed to be racing, but there was one of me racing. I finished it in about 10 minutes. It was fun. It was super fun, actually. So it's a cool one to do if you
was it a lot like the Hugo Boss experience?
No, it's totally different. You can see it was much more like a race car drive and go kind of experience. So you think about you have 6 racers, and it was almost like a triathlon where you've got like 3 different terrains and you're trying to race to the end. And then at the end you get the boots as a takeaway, Anyway, it was cool. Fun. If you're into that, give it a try. It's a good, I'd say it's one of the better branded experiences. It'll be interesting to see how it, I'm like, I can't even get the boots. They're only making 300 of them. So couldn't even get a pair if I wanted to. So Decentraland is using now these AI influencers. I bring this in because they were going to be going into Decentraland later. I was trying to get these guys to work. So there's 3 different AI-driven characters now that are kind of in Decentraland to help people in varying ways, to engage them. The robot is specifically there, I think, to answer kind of technical questions and such. But I couldn't get them to work earlier. They were not connecting to the server. They were timing out. So I don't know if they'll be working later, but I do think that this is, we're going to see a lot more of this, right? So very, very cool to see and fun. Midjourney in painting.
Hey, Lisa, back to why 3 of them? I mean, when you talk about a digital influencer and someone, interacting, I wonder why they chose three different ones. Do you have a feel for that?
I think they probably tried. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Sasha. You answer.
I think they probably tried to connect with 3 different subsets of audiences. And I don't know any of these characters, but I imagine they were strategically chosen for each audience that they would bring in. That's just a complete guess, but that's what
that's a good guess. That's an educated guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. So this is big news for me and Midjourney in painting. So those of you, I know we've talked about Midjourney on the pub crawl before. We had a demo with PJ who came in. I love this tool. And now you can go through, and what you're seeing here is what I spent 2 hours on today, which was to try to get an image that said XR pub crawl on the side of this very cool future, like cool train that's going through this environment. It didn't quite work. You know, I spent a good couple hours and this was the best I could get it was here. So, but it was learning as it was going. And I think that it will get smarter and eventually we will be able to add customized text and it won't take, 3 hours. But beyond text, I think, it does a lot of really cool things where you can now, pick an area and instead of having, a castle here, I could have, something different. So it's really fun to play around with and you could literally spend hours. I highly recommend you give it a try.
I'm surprised text is so hard for it to figure out. I mean,
yeah, it's very hard.
That would be an easier one. How interesting.
I know. Well, it would have been way quicker for me to just take this into like Canva and put the text on myself. It would have taken me 5 minutes instead of 3 hours.
I could be wrong. I don't suspect it's difficult to figure out. I think they're holding back because otherwise people are going to be branding all this stuff. It's like a simple thing you do in Photoshop or other programs, but they're not making it easy. None of the programs are doing text very easily. They don't want to be responsible for making something look photorealistic or even mock-up or branding. I think they're holding back that one feature, even though it's so easily available in other tools. It's like, wow, you can make mystical worlds, but we can't even type your text in a place where it would make sense.
That makes sense.
Holding back. I'm sure the technology can handle it. Someone's holding back.
Yeah.
Well, either way, whether it's a conspiracy or not, I think it will be solved soon. So we're on our way there, and it's fun to see the tools evolve at any rate. Okay, that's it. That's the end of my anybody else have news? I'm going to go ahead. It's time. I'm going to stop sharing. We're just a little behind schedule. Not too bad. 10 minutes behind schedule. And we're going to take it away. So Sutu of EyeJack is here, as I mentioned. He is the creator of Breonna's Garden. I'm going to let you present, Sutu, and why don't you start by giving an introduction to everybody here that probably may not know you and your work, and then we'll go from there. And everybody, please feel free to ask questions in chat, and I can help monitor those.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. Great to see everyone here today. Yeah, I'm Sutu. I'm an Australian artist. I've been creating like digital art for like over 15 years now. I started off doing like interactive web comics. So I sort of early on got into this nascent kind of field of interactive storytelling. Was using Flash back in the days to do that, and then that kind of led me into. My first Flash comic went a Webby, so then I was like able to kind of leverage or just found myself in this weird situation and become interactive storyteller guy. So I went on to make like storytelling apps for the App Store on the iPad. Did the world's first augmented reality comic book, Modern Flaxes, back in the day. That was like from the front cover all the way to the back cover, everything was augmented. It was a story about a paranoid time traveler, where it was like presented as his sort of notebook, where the printed book was telling one story and the AR layer was telling what he really thought was going on. So sometimes it would scribble out the text and rewrite it and things like this. So it was a fun one where you had to kind of compare the AR with the physical to sort of figure out what was really going on. Did like HTML5 comics, then around 2017 jumped into VR. I was a big enthusiast of like tilt brush and VR painting. Did a bunch of VR films. I've done about 7 VR films and some really powerful ones. We did a project with detainees on the Menace Detention Center, where their stories couldn't get out, and then a psychiatrist who recorded interviews with them, got those interviews out, and then based off those interviews, I was able to recreate the stories that they told as a series of VR paintings, but it was their voices that were telling the stories. That was a really moving one. And that was during a time where there was a media blackout. So just no media was coming out, and that if anyone were to look into what happened there, it was crazy. Humanitarian rights violations and things like this. So, but around that same time, around the time of like the comic, especially, we got a lot of interest from artists asking me how I was doing everything. So then I formed the company EyeJack with my business partner, Lucas. It's probably too early for Lucas in Australia. I'm in America right now. So anyway, we just created a tool that allowed anyone to create the same sort of experiences I was creating. That's become a bit of a pattern in the way that I've worked over the last kind of like 6 years. So I'll spearhead like the company with my own projects and sort of figure everything out. And then I'll reverse engineer what I do and create like software. So a part of today's talk, I'll talk about a new piece of software that we're about to launch in about a month. And obviously we'll talk about Breonna's garden.
Yeah, let's jump in and let's start off with talking about Sutu, where you've been seeing some success working with brands so far, where you're seeing success with your branded activations, and you showed us some great ones earlier. So maybe we start there and talk about what you're up to these days with brands.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let me share my screen and I'm sharing, that's good. So I'll just jump past Breonna's garden and go into, so we've kind of carved out a niche for like augmented reality artworks and just like AR activations at stores and on merchandise and things like this. This is going to be our bread and butter for the last few years. I've just pulled out 2 case studies. We've done like a lot of activations with really big brands. We've worked with Verizon and Sony. We did like a big activation for like the Into the Spider-Verse film. But I picked out these 2 ones today just because I really like kind of like the format. So this was one at the Botanical Gardens in Sydney. We created some nice little documentation of the space so you get a good idea of what it looks like. And then basically all the visitors just activated the app, had a map of the garden. They wander around the garden scanning QR codes, and it brings to life these beautiful animations that sort of talked about the mythology that inspired the design of the garden. So you kind of get like this cool looking experience. A lot of people are taking selfies and stuff, and that obviously helped with the marketing and the ongoing promotion of the experience. Whilst they're learning a little bit. Yeah. So, and we've built up a network of artists that we work with. So like when brands come to us, I'll usually like curate which artists I think would be appropriate for the brand and their creative brief. And now we've got like over 200 artists in our network and really high caliber ones. So there's kind of like artists available, various price ranges. There's negotiation that can happen there. Some artists have a huge following on Instagram and stuff. So, they're probably more expensive. But, not to say that some of the other artists aren't as equally talented. And yeah, the combination of like 3D artists, 2D artists. We've got some AI artists and some generative artists using code to create visuals and stuff like that as well. And I'll show you this other one.
It's so gorgeous.
Can I ask? Yeah, I mean, that is gorgeous. That last one is just incredible. How long did that take to build, and what was the approximate cost of the experience?
Oh gosh, I don't know what the cost was, but it's pretty reasonable. Like, so all the infrastructure with like whenever anyone comes to us with an artwork, we basically send them out a PDF which describes like a wireframe of the experience, like the user experience, all of the onboarding screens that you see. We kind of really honed it in, like to make it a really efficient kind of service that we can offer clients. And usually it's like, depending on the complexity of the animation, it can be anywhere between like $3,000 to $5,000 per animation. So it's not a lot, and unless like because it's also the animations are usually pretty small, bite size, like maybe a 15-second loop or something like that. If they want longer, then animation is generally by the second. There's a rate there, but we try to kind of make a reasonable package like that, and then the actual AR app side of things, there's various tiers. So you can do like web AR, you could do like use the EyeJack app, which is actually accessing all our local features, which is a lot cheaper. We don't have to license out external libraries and things like that, which incur other costs. But yeah, I'm not sure. Like a project like that was probably end up being about 50 grand or something like that. That's one of the lower end ones. And then like the Verizon job was, a lot more expensive. We took over their entire 5G lab.
And development time, I mean, 8 weeks, 16 weeks.
Again, it's like just how, it can, like we turn them around really quick. We turn some around where there's only been like 3 activations or whatever in like 2 or 3 weeks. And then other ones, a month to 6 weeks is pretty reasonable.
Maybe show this next example. I love this next example, as it really shows solving a problem, which I think that if you think about foot traffic or getting people to actual physical locations can be challenging. And I think this activation did an amazing job at making a more interactive retail kind of fun experience, this art walk that got people invigorated to go basically and be around these storefronts. So this is just a very specific example of problem solving that this type of activation can solve.
Yeah, so this was at a time when Melbourne was experiencing just a loss of foot traffic due to subway development. So the city council contacted us to say we need to get people back into the fashion quarter, like Flinders Quarter. It's a really hip sort of fashion district with lots of really nice boutiques. So we think we had 15 to 20 partners that were the boutiques. And then we collaborated with local artists, mural artists and painters and animators, which was spotlighting all the awesome creative talent in Melbourne as well. And then we produced this little map, which was also could be augmented. And in a weekend, we had about 5,000 people do the little circuit and go into all the stores and activate experiences. I'll show you what that looked like. We also hired some fancy actors to disrupt on certain days. So you'll see some people in some costumes walking around at various times. And yeah, over the course of 2 weeks, we had 30,000 people engage. Some of the artworks were murals that people walk past every day, so we had a new layer of animation. And then there was also paintings, like some famous paintings that come to life. So it was telling the story of the paintings. I think you will see one of the paintings pop up in a second.
This is such a surprise delight. I mean, if I worked, for tourism bureau, this would be it, trying to get people into your city. It's brilliant. I love it. It's just so beautiful and fun. And, just to really, using artwork as a way in, this immersive artwork, and the creators just create things that are so beautiful to look at.
I have to say, there are so many projects on EyeJack's website. I mean, you guys should really just go check them out. Here, I'll drop the URL. There's just so many beautiful ones there.
So again, mindful of time, we've got 20 minutes left, guys, in the broadcast today. So let's get to Breonna's Garden, since I've hyped it up. Hopefully by now, maybe you all have tried it. It is still the standing favorite AR activation for my XR classes. All my students fell in love with this. And Sutu, I'll let maybe if you want to show, I think, yes, there's the QR code to go and try it. And it was a collaboration, and it started off as this AR app, but now go ahead. I'll let you share. So to talk to us about where it's going, the new version of this thing.
Okay, so a bit of context. You can visit breonnas.garden to sort of read about the project. Obviously, the project came about during the time of Breonna's passing and all the political sort of conversation that was happening around that. And we noticed my creative partner, Lady Phoenix, and I noticed that Breonna's sister, Janaya Palmer, was experiencing some really toxic messages on her own social media as she was thrusted into this limelight of having to deal with grief very publicly, which is a horrible experience for a young person anyway, and for anybody. And so we just kind of reached out to her. We were just completely shocked at what was going on, and sort of said, hey, we'd be interested to create a safe space online for you to share your beautiful stories about your relationship with your sister. So that was the origin of it. And it turned into a garden project that we began as augmented reality experience. So that QR code that I shared before was for the augmented reality experience. And then we wanted to include holograms in it. So we invited Janaya out to LA to create a hologram of her. And so that, you realistically see her just being her true self and telling her story. We created this nice monument of Breonna, obviously, but we wanted Janaya to be represented very realistically. And then the twist on the experience was that you can go into the AR experience right now, and Janaya, in a very beautiful and very characteristically of her, invites you to share a message for someone that you love and miss. You can share a message for, you know, the family, but you can also share a message for anybody that you miss. And then what happens is your message gets recorded, it gets sent to our server, it gets listened to by a human being who then approves it, make sure that it is a safe message that is suitable for the platform. So, you know, we've had a bunch of volunteers through like the XRSI online safety initiative for the metaverse came on board as some volunteers. Usually we engage these volunteers around like kind of moments, like we had the launch at Tribeca, so we had volunteers during that festival. And we've, you know, had the experience kind of pop up at various festivals. And then, you know, once a month, volunteers will log in just to check if there's any new ones, because the engagement kind of spikes. And then Microsoft came on board with helping out with the holograms, but then they also said, well, can we put it into VR? So we did like a VR version, which was in AltSpace. And this one you can walk around and you could listen to the recordings made by everybody. And you could also see the holograms of not only Janaya, but we also by this point got involved Breonna's mum, Tamika, and Breonna's boyfriend Kenny. So they came over to LA and we went through the same process and made holograms of them all as well. And you know, the family is just amazing. So they let us also make some scans of all of the beautiful fan and sort of like supportive artworks that have been created of Breonna during that time. And we put them all together in this room, which was a representation of their own home, that they have all of this artwork and all Breonna's achievements in her life. So you get this very intimate sort of experience where you can explore the room and just learn a bit more about who she was, and also about the movement that she inspired, which is, you know, a big part of the legacy of this project is for us to all reimagine how we want to sort of approach these circumstances like this. But what I found particularly moving about the project was by listening to people's recorded messages, kind of provided a nice template to talk about grief. Because it's so difficult. So you can listen to all these beautiful messages left by everybody, and then you can think about how you can start that conversation. And one of the unexpected things that happen when you send a message in and it gets approved, you get sent an email with a QR code, and then you can go back into the experience and you will see your flower grow, and it's very personalized. But what some people were doing was sending that QR code to someone that they wanted to listen to that message. And then it became this interesting bridge where maybe you weren't able to talk to them in person yet. You know, you weren't quite there yet, but suddenly the garden became this bridge. I'm just going to jump ahead now to...
And do you think that's the secret sauce here? I mean, I think it's that ability that allowed people to come in and actually, you know, save their own message and really engage and interact that really set this apart. Sutu, do you think that that's true?
I think so. I think it's because then it becomes this collaboration with the community. It's a moment.
You're co-creating, aren't you? You're co-creating. It becomes very purposeful and it drives meaning.
And you see the impact of it because the garden grows. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. There's hundreds of flowers there now.
Yeah, and I think thousands.
And this is the goal why this project keeps coming back. So when AltSpace closed down, Microsoft bummed, but they did a wonderful thing. They gave us a parting gift of a couple $100,000 to keep the project alive and going. And so
good old Microsoft.
That's amazing.
So that was an awesome thing. That was more on Lady Phoenix for helping navigate that, along with you know, we have Joanna Popper as producer, who I'm sure you know is a fantastic ambassador for like the XR community. So anyway, now with that we're building a new version, which is a WebXR version, which is, I can give you a little teaser of. You have to give me a bit of wiggle room here because it's still work in progress. It's not due to launch until next month.
Exclusive XR pub crawl exclusive, everybody. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
I love Sutu as you're talking about this and talking about what's next. You know, it's amazing to me how it's evolved and how you're continuing to grow it and take beyond.
It's not just a one and done.
Not just a one and done, exactly. And you're taking it from one platform, you know, augmented reality, and bringing it into virtual reality. I just think it's so beautiful what you're doing here.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's not just a one and done. It's interesting, you know, this is a little bit secret, but since launching the project, we've had so much interest about people wanting their own gardens, and we're not, you know, everybody, but also the Michael Jackson estate contacted us, the Prince estate contacted us, Juice WRLD estate contacted us.
Wow.
So now we are looking at like a bigger garden metaverse to just allow anyone to create a garden.
Wow.
So that's something, you know, that we will hopefully be putting the feelers out for. You know, we appreciate any support from the community to, once we do, you know, to say good things, but also like we'll be trying to make some introductions to get that sort of investment happening.
Yes, you are welcome to come back on the pub crawl. I will promote the hell out of that. And I want to garden for my dog Betty when she goes off to college.
Yeah. It's so true, and this comes back to me and Lady Phoenix person. I mean, everyone's lost someone that they love, and the sad reality is right now, if you do lose someone, often what happens is Facebook becomes the sort of the common denominator where messages are left, and it's just such an ugly, sterile platform to remember someone you love. Like, sure, the photos and videos might be nice, but everything else is just the worst. So the concept is to give people the ability to be able to create a garden with a series of easily accessible garden templates, be able to upload photos and videos, be able to invite fellow gardeners as administrators that can help you coordinate the garden and create a little community project out of it, you know. And then coinciding with that, we're looking at like, you know, Breonna's garden becoming like permanent collection in sister gardens across the world. So museums that have gardens, we're talking to the Museum of Tolerance in LA right now. We've got like conversation going on with UCLA campuses. So there's lots of, and it becomes a bit more about like, you know, let's have that conversation about grief, about these sort of, like in this case, the Breonna Taylor story. But yeah, it's like, it's just, yeah, there's a lot of factors that kind of that make it just a beautiful project. Yeah.
Are you doing any AI integration in any of these?
At the moment, like that's kind of more of a conversation for my sort of the underlying infrastructure. So the EyeJack platform that I'm building. What this is, so just quickly, like the new version, and this is still a work in progress. There's going to be more flowers. There's going to be little particles floating through and butterflies. But this is all WebXR. And if you visit the URL, when we launch, it'll detect what device you're on and give you the option to run it on desktop, VR, or AR. So it's a completely interoperable format.
Nice.
That just makes it more accessible to more people. That's the goal. And this is kind of like the underlying infrastructure that my company's been working on for the last sort of 12 months. And it kind of coincides with our own EyeJack platform, which we're also launching in about a month as well. And behind the scenes for that, there is, I'll just kind of give you a quick glimpse. Like,
yeah, let's see we fell in love with these cubes.
Yeah, so this is like, we've built a full on like online 3D editor where people can go in there and edit content and then, you know, press play, and then you will see, this is just one of my artworks that I put in a cube. But it will have a series of templates. This is a cube template, so the artists don't need to know how to code. They just throw their art in and then assign which art can be seen through which side of the cube in this particular template. But then we're building other templates. We'll, you know, in the future have a garden template where you'll just be able to go in and start building out the gardens for yourself and have an inventory of all the different flowers and stuff. And even that conversation is getting really excited because we're like, oh, you know, we can make regional flowers and stuff for different parts of the globe so that we reach kind of a global community. And just to go, so right now we've got about 30 artists just using the beta version of our platform, and they've gone and created some really nice cubes. I'll show you actually. I just went over to the music center, the Walt Disney Hall in LA the other day. Why is this not playing? It's not playing. Oh, wait up. It's trying to ask me to trim it. Just a minute. There we go. So we're also building a bunch of infrastructure so people can just easily create their own AR art walks anywhere. So I went and created an art walk around Disney Hall because it's a really beautiful, futuristic looking architecture.
Cool.
So these are the cubes created by the artists in our platform so far. Some really nice ones. That's Nathan's neighbor. Which Nathan's in the group today. Anyway, so this will be launching soon. It's all web-based. Because it is HTML, the beauty of that means that, think about it like the Vimeo embed. Vimeo embed has you can just copy that little HTML snippet and then chuck it in your website and suddenly the Vimeo player works. This will be the same. You'll have a little XR HTML snippet, and then you'll be able to grab that HTML and just chuck it in any website, and suddenly your website will have a fully XR experience that can be activated in AR, VR, or desktop. And you can try this out on the website right now by just going to EyeJack.xyz. Even though we haven't launched officially yet, you can go for a full gallery view, which looks like this, a whole bunch of cubes. But I recommend you activate that if you have a large space because it's designed for a gallery. So probably don't do it if you're sitting at your desk right now, but you can press on the play button and just scan the QR code, and then you can launch the experience in your space.
Nice.
And 1 second, I'm going to move my Zoom window out of the way. But if you're in a smaller space, then you can activate the individual cubes. And I'll play Heather's because I'm a fan of Heather's work, and also she's a good friend of Nathan's.
So what the team isn't hearing here is that there's often music that accompanies these art pieces as well. And it's just so surprising and just makes it such a richer experience. I mean, I was so surprised. Sutu has created a book of all these artists and their artwork too. And that too had music tied to some of the art experiences, and just really, grabs you and keeps you through the entire thing.
I'll just add, Billie, that because they are HTML, they can also be minted as NFTs on the NFT platforms. So the goal here is to not only just provide a new tool for artists, but to provide new streams of revenue for their artworks. Because right now, if you're an XR artist and you mint, or if you create an artwork that's on Snap, you can't sell that like AR artwork or anything. And in addition to that, we're starting a licensing platform so that clients, if they want to have an artwork, they can just go through and select the artworks that they want to feature in their own AR artworks. And then the artists will get a royalty every time their works are selected. And we've been doing that for the last 3 years with artists already, even without having launched this platform. One artist, Panda Caro, did this beautiful work. We already licensed his, he did 10 cubes, and we already licensed that out and made him a couple extra $1,000 just as a royalty for licensing his collection out. So I think
all right, we've got 3 minutes. I'm mindful of time, guys. We got to pause.
Darn it.
That's good.
I'm in Decentraland. Please join me. The link, if you guys need the link to Decentraland, I'm in the Genesis Plaza. So
give us a link, Lisa.
It's in chat. If you scroll up, you will see the link there.
Hey, can I just say quickly, sorry to interrupt.
Yes, please. And questions, if anybody has questions for Sutu, please ask away.
Yeah, just in regards to, like, I saw Nathan saying, I'm going to share the link out just yet. Let's just keep it to ourselves right now, because I actually want to, we're going to do a big sort of marketing promo push in about a month's time to showcase the artwork. So visit the link for yourselves. Don't share it out just yet, like far and wide. And yeah, you can just use it, Nathan. That'd be great. Thanks, mate. But yeah, in a month's time though, I'll be screaming from the mountaintops for everyone to share. I can't wait. And it'll be a big celebration of all the awesome artists there.
It's really so beautiful, Sutu, and being able to make any artist a VR artist is spectacular. I love it. All right, Lisa, any questions for Sutu?
Yeah, you guys ask some questions. Sure, you'd love that.
And then I will get into Decentraland with you, Lisa.
In the final 2 minutes, everybody come on in. So, why Decentraland? Well, first of all, they've opened it up. It used to be that you had to have a wallet, which was extraordinarily frustrating. You do not have to have a wallet anymore. You can join as a guest. They have a web-based version. They also have a Windows kind of downloadable version as well. I tried them both out this morning, and in my view, there really wasn't a huge difference between them. I will say if you connect your wallet, you do get more access. So if you, without the wallet connection, you can't do fun things like have private chat. And there are a few other, kind of important things for a social platform that you cannot do. So just know that it is a little bit limited, but we can at least get in. And what you're seeing here, this is kind of some of my favorites that I wanted to point out while we're chatting about Decentraland today. Genesis Plaza is where you're going to see some people. There's actually live people, and this is where they have their AI chatbots, is in this Genesis Plaza. So it's a great place to start. I also wanted to show that Sotheby's is here, and they have a gallery. It's kind of boring, but you can actually go in and bid on NFT artwork in this gallery. So big brands are here, big art brands, as well as a lot of really cool cutting edge creators are also into Decentraland. They had a whole art week not that long ago. And that's what this is. The art week is still alive, and you can go in and see some of the cool 3D art there. But I'm going to hop back into Genesis Plaza here, as I think it's kind of a fun place to hang out, and there are actually people around. So if you guys have any questions or want to join here.
Yeah, I have to say I'm so glad Decentraland got rid of the wallet and that, because that was a huge barrier, and I think really limited who actually used the platform. I don't think they've made enough noise about it. Nobody I know actually realizes that you don't need a wallet anymore. And I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen that.
I think you're going to see a lot more of it. All like the Web3 projects are going to have to embrace a bit of Web2 if they want to maintain and grow their audience.
Yeah. Sutu, it has been wonderful having you.
Yes, I know. People are going to have to start leaving. Yes, just big thank you so much.
Yeah, we can't wait to see where you go next and what you take, where you take it, because it's going to be very exciting.
Yes, super exciting. It couldn't be more thrilled to have had you here. Thank you so much for the time. Super grateful. And thank you to everyone that came. I'm sticking around for a few more minutes. Those of you that have to go on your tight lunch break, it was so lovely to see you. I'll send out the on-demand recording. If you have any questions, you just let Billie and I know. But I love you all. I missed seeing you last month, and I hope to see you next month.
Excellent.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Take good care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
So for those of you that are, thanks. Sticking around, this is the kind of the lounge area here in Decentraland. If you fall down the center of that whirlpool and the plaza, you end up here in this kind of hip environment. You've got this octopus bartender, and then I think you guys just saw
a big chesty guy.
Yeah, our AI guy walking around.
Yes.
But so I would love it if some of you can get him to engage. I was not able to for whatever reason. It wasn't working for me earlier.
On those AI characters, obviously you're getting the guy that has the big broad chest. Are you seeing the other two?
Yeah, there he is.
So are they giving you that one just based on your profile and who you are?
No, he's kind of permanently stationed here.
He's
Dodge.
stationed the location.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And so this is what happens. So when I click and say hello to Dodge or Doge or however you pronounce his name, I'm getting, I don't know if you can see the very bottom, and unable to connect to server. Yeah.
That's all I see.
And then error at the very below. So,
I see the error. That's sad.
Not sure why it's not working. I mean, I connected my wallet to see if that was the problem, and it wasn't. It did the exact same thing when I connected my wallet too. So there may be some sort of compatibility thing that's happening, but it's still kind of cool. But you know what? There are other people here in the plaza to talk to too. There are real people here too. So yeah, I love it.
I love it.
In terms of size, I mean, one thing that's worth mentioning is that, you know, the size of this platform is still really small. And we always talk about scale and how many people are in world. And this is a very niche, small audience still, even, you know, that they've increased access. It's still not a lot of people here.
Like I said, they haven't promoted it. I mean, you know, I haven't seen anything about it being open. I think that's a limiting factor.
Anybody else who hangs out in Decentraland that wants to say a good word about it? I'm still not convinced that it's awesome. So convince me.
Anyone hanging out in Decentraland? See, I don't think anyone's hanging out in Decentraland.
Yeah, I'll just second the take that you've already put out there. I've played around in a lot of WebXR environments, like for over the last 10 years, so consistently, and Decentraland is like worse than some of the WebXR platforms I played around with 10 years ago.
It's the moving around.
Really bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the hottest game they had when they were at their peak, like maybe like a year ago, was like this dragon racing flying thing. And the second I tried it, I like just kept falling off the dragon. Like you don't even actually sit on it. You just stand and hover over it. And it wasn't fun. I was just like, I don't get it. If you're launching to try and get a PR grab and you can get the organic views on media, and if that's your intent, great. Like you can probably at a time get a great ROI on that, maybe even still. But if your intent is to have an ongoing environment where users are in there engaging, there's such better platforms with things like Spatial or Logic. I think just rebranded. They have a cool one. Like there's other platforms that are just so much better.
Yeah, I totally agree. And this is now I'm in Sotheby's art gallery. So this is a piece of the art here that you can see that I just clicked on. And then down in the lower right, I can go and view the auction if I wanted to go and purchase that. So, you know, I mean, this is just going to get outdated so fast. Nothing.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like, where's my gallery?
Yeah.
You also need to download in order to access, or were you able to do just in? It looks like it's in browser.
They have both. This is in browser, but it's just not a very to your point, it's not a very good experience either way, frankly, in browser or downloading the client for your desktop. Both are kind of shit in my view. So I much prefer Spatial. Spatial is my favorite, which brings me to those of you that are sticking around here, the True Blue. I was thinking the other day because I was oh my God, you guys, the experience I had in Fortnite, it was so intense. I made the mistake of going into a high school role play.
Okay.
Has anybody ever done that before?
No.
I literally was like, so high school. It was actually really dangerous because there were like, I don't know, 10, 8 to 10-year-olds in there, and I could hear them talking, and I was just like, kind of, they saw me come in, but I couldn't, and they were talking about AK-47s and how their dads have weapons. They knew all the lingo. They knew like complicated technical stuff about these guns. And then the one guy was like, the police are monitoring this, don't you? And I was like, abort! I need to get out right now.
Wow.
Like, leave. I was like frantically trying to find the way to literally get out of there as fast as I could, because I found it to be very alarming and I didn't want any part of it. That's one thing I will say about Fortnite. It's so violent. Like it's hard pressed to find any game in Fortnite that's not violent. And I just don't do any of that. I don't like any of that. So, but that being said, it has, huge audiences and people, don't get me started. I don't want to. Anyway, any fans of Fortnite? in the room?
Minecraft's more my speed.
Yeah, exactly. Roblox is more my speed, Roblox.
Yes,
I'll take
Roblox
Roblox over
good.
that any day. But but where I was going with this is because I was doing that, the race to greatness alone. I was like, it'd be super fun to find a really good platform to have an immersive, like kind of happy hour moment where instead of having, this kind of scripted content, instead just have a chance to really connect with people, So if you have any thoughts on where we could do that, I think, spatial might be fun, or somewhere else where we could actually have a moment and have some, spatial audio and have some real conversations. I would love that. And I would love joiners to join me in that. So
yeah, that would be interesting. Oscar, you mentioned Minecraft 111. What is that?
Just replying, like, I play Minecraft with my brother.
And Minecraft 111, is that a good game or?
No, 111 means yes.
mm-hmm. Yeah, get with it, Billy. Get with it. Get with the lingo.
I get you. Oh, that's great.
The nature of this group and like all the amazing stuff we talk about each week, we still have yet to find a platform that can really take this experience and bring it to the metaverse. Like this should be the meeting that should be meeting inside the metaverse while we're talking about the metaverse.
Yeah, it's so true. That's so true, Victor.
That everybody's needs. And like, I was recently turned on. I know you guys are familiar with Mike Premi was showing me Moot. It has another name also, and they do, virtual conferences. It looks spectacular. I've not used it. I have no experience, but that is the kind of environment might be enticing for someone to come and, see some information, this and that. But it's still these like fantastical environments that don't really exist. Like no one really has a penthouse with endless amounts of territory on an island surrounded by water. And so that's cute to show, but I want to get to the content. I want to see the people. I want to see what we're sharing. And so I love these fantastical worlds, and there's definitely room for that, but I'm almost like, enough with the architecture. Give me the experience. Right now, you guys are all thumbnails. I don't need to see your virtual bodies, but I just like us to know that we're sitting around, a virtual conference table, or we're listening to a speaker, or we're seeing a demo. And it's interesting. All the platforms just seem very, you're watching the evolution. You guys are on the leading edge of it, but I've never heard of these, I'm just saying, like, these are not things that would draw my attention to these things. And with all these barriers of wallets and functionality and browser compatibility and responsiveness, it's like, whoa, this thing is promised to us, but it feels like we have so many other things that are so much more easily available.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
long journey.
I guess the challenge to the metaverse developers are like, and I hate to say this because I hate this as a standard, but like, how do you take a Teams or a Zoom meeting and bring it to the metaverse easily? Billy, I'm excited to hear that Intel's introducing avatars into Teams.
Yeah, isn't that amazing, right? I'm like the only person using it, but besides that point.
Is it functional, or is it just sort of like eye candy at this point?
No, it's pretty functional, actually. I mean, it gives you a lot of preset kind of responses. I would say it's not as good as Zoom in the sense that it doesn't follow your body movements, but it gives you all sorts of responses you can do, from a little heart to a thumbs up to a fist bump, and it gives you those kind of functionality.
Is it entertaining, or is it is it business functional, or is it like?
It's business functional, though. Being the new, I love it.
Hey, Ricky.
Being one of the only people to use it, though, Victor, I have to say that I've had other people tell me that it's distracting.
That's what I'm asking about, right? Like, what's the business benefit to where everyone's using it so it's the norm and you're not the one singled out?
Yeah, what they're saying is, it just avoids Zoom fatigue, right? And that's the main reason to use it.
Well, Intel's not a good testing ground because they're they never do video calls anyway. Like it's a bad company. They're not, if you had to do video calls, all day back to back with your live video, you would be, I think, very grateful to have an avatar instead of the live video. But Intel's not like that. They don't do video ever.
There's a few platforms that feature avatars, and I know these are not done specifically great yet, but they feature the person's face. Because one thing about Intel and many corporations is, like, you are on conference calls or Zoom calls, team calls, whatever, it is always welcome to see the face of who you're speaking to.
Absolutely.
It changes how you're delivering information. It changes their reaction.
Sometimes I don't want to see their face. Sometimes I'd rather just have a cartoon.
So, hey, Lisa, what was the platform where you created the fire pit and we could bring Zoom stuff into it?
So that's a funny story. So Mike Premi talked to me and asked me about he needed a platform for some work he was doing, and I suggested Learn Bright and Mood Up. Danny Stefanik, he jumped in there and fell in love with it, believe it or not. So cool. If you're not looking for foot traffic and you want something very, very basic that's a walled garden for very simple simulations, Learn Bright's great.
Learn Bright's great. I mean, you can bring in that Zoom presentation. You can, have your PowerPoint. You can see your image, your face talking if you want.
And it's easy. There's no learning curve. And for his thing, he needed therapists to be able to create their own spaces. And so it needed to be really,
that's what I'm working
really easy.
That's what I'm working with him on the video aspect of it. Yeah. So we're the same conversation.
Nice.
And by the way, I'm not recommending Zoom as a standard. It's just that now everyone's sort of like Zoom has become, at least everyone's up to speed on Zoom. Right. You've gotten people turning on their cameras, know their microphone settings, this and that. So, okay, we've trained a lot of people in a short period of time for lots of reasons. This is no longer, a freaky thing. Everyone's used to cameras, computers, and volume and speakers, but now, next level, bring it.
Yeah. I'm glad you're
right, my loves. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop the live stream. We are all welcome to stay on and debrief. I don't have to go anywhere, but I wanted to thank all of you that might be watching the on-demand recording and everyone else that's here. And I hope to see everyone next month for our next pub crawl. It was an awesome conversation as always. I love these so much. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Ricky, it's always good to see you. How are you doing these days?
Life's good.